Brenton, first loss, how was, you had your flawless run, it had to come to an end, I suppose.
Yeah, it wasn't much fun. I know watching the review, it's not as nice when you have a loss, but there were still some good passages of play in there and some things we're really happy with. But I guess the majority was room for improvement and some negative stuff that we've got to address this week, and hopefully we can improve on last week's performance this week.
How do you feel when you watch Kurt Tibbett kick for goal?
Oh, I feel good. He kicked them all today. I guess it's really hard to replicate game stress and anxiety when you're on the training track. But yeah, he's working on his goal kicking, as all our forwards. Well, most of the team really. Even Ben Rutten had a few shots for goal today. So it's something that we're all working on, and I'm confident most of our boys will kick straight this weekend.
There's also talk about his technique. Do you think there's anything wrong with his technique?
I think we've all got issues with our own techniques. You look at across the whole list we've got, and even some of the best goal kickers through the history of the game have got some flaws. But it's what's comfortable. It's similar to, I guess, free throw shooting in basketball, when there's, I guess, no pressure and you just got to sit there and throw the ball through the hoop. Same with putting in golf. As much as you can practice, sometimes you can't replicate the stresses that are associated with kicking a goal under pressure. So we'll do the best to do that at training, but sometimes you just got to go back and nail them in a game.
Does any outside help? Obviously, Peter Jonas is his number one coach. Is there someone else to come and help him out?
No, I don't think so. I think we've got enough support here.
When you look at comparisons to other similar skills in other sports, like you mentioned golf, basketball, probably kicking in rugby union,
yep,
their percentages are so much higher, and so much it's acceptable in AFL to miss some of these easy shots. Is that a culture problem, do you think? How do you?
It's a difficult one because goal kicking numbers haven't really improved in 150 years. The numbers aren't getting that much better. I know there's been some years when it's been better and others when it hasn't, but I don't know. It's a tricky one. And whoever's got the answers, let me know, because it's a unfortunate thing we've got in our sport where set shot straight in front, for some reason player misses, but then he kicks 100 during the week at training. So it's something that we have to address, I guess, across the whole competition. It's not just our club. I know we've got one of the lower rankings at the moment. We kick 3 goals 7 from set shots, 9 goals 2 from in play on the weekend. So maybe that's reversed this week, who knows. But if it becomes a regular pattern, then we'll have to obviously address it. But we're doing the best we can to improve each week.
So you're confident Kurt can fix his yips?
Oh, definitely, yeah. I'm thinking he's going to have a game somewhere he kicks 7 or 8 straight. Hopefully it's this week. The week after will be even better. But I'm sure it's only a matter of time before he has one of those games when he just hits them all.
Brenton, is it a situation where obviously you said lots of guys who are great kicks at goal haven't had fantastic techniques at times. Is it more mental than it is technique for him, you think?
Definitely. It can be mental with some players and technique with others, but it's an unusual feeling when you're out there and the pressure. It just sometimes gets to you. Even the greatest players have missed set shots. But when it becomes a pattern, when it becomes the norm, that's when we have to obviously address it. So yeah, we're working pretty hard behind the scenes. I know all our forwards are having a lot of goal kicking practice and trying to replicate that performance anxiety that can sometimes be an issue.
Brenton, what's your take on the Giants? They've been smashed so far, obviously. How do you rate them?
Yeah, we had a look at them this morning, and I've watched their first 3 games in the last couple of days. And one thing that I'm really noticing in their games is they're really good around the ball. Their contested ball numbers and the ability to tackle and chase and put pressure on is really good. It's just they're getting exposed a little bit at times. North Melbourne got them with the handball game, the run and carry, but we're certainly going to respect them this week. They're even in the West Coast game on the weekend. After that first quarter, they were really competitive. So we certainly won't be taking them lightly this week.
Well, you play, obviously you lost to Hawthorn, so you sort of got that to atone for, but will there be any chance that players take the foot off the pedal a little bit, or is it that same ruthless approach that you've been demanding?
Yeah, I think even if we're a couple of % off our best, we're going to be embarrassed. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you turn up here, and if you're looking for an uncontested game, you won't get it this weekend because they do tackle. They are good around the ball. They've got some talent. 11 of the 14 first picks last year, plus some good experienced players as well. So it'll be a great challenge for us to come with a really strong mindset, that ruthless attitude that you spoke about, and just ensure that we're not second to the ball this week, which is what we were last week.
I know a couple of weeks ago we talked about perhaps the luxury of resting players down the track to get to that level. Any chance you do that this week?
No, we won't be resting anyone. If a player misses because of injury, misses because of injury, but we certainly won't be resting anyone this week.
That word resting sort of opens you up should things go wrong, but could you maybe couch it as taking a more cautious approach and giving an opportunity to blokes in the sample that really deserved it where perhaps they haven't quite snuck in yet?
No, I think most coaches use the term, instead of resting, they use managing players. We're coming off a 6-day break with a couple of boys with sore spots, but I think we got through the game okay. I don't think there's any sort of major injury concern, so we'll go in almost full strength, I'm sure. But having said that, after a 10-goal loss, you've got to make changes, and you mentioned some players who are playing well in the SANFL, and I'd like to give them an opportunity. So if you're not in form, then you might be out of the side. So we've got match committee now. We'll have a look at the side, look at the balance of the GWS team against ours, and work out the best balanced side to beat them.
Of your 22 players who played against Hawthorn, how many spots are in doubt?
It's a too tough a question. I know that we didn't, put it this way, we didn't give out too many best and fairest votes this week, so we probably felt that we didn't get a great even effort from our 22, where probably the previous matches we've played, we've had a pretty even contribution from the entire 22. The week just gone, we had too many passengers, too many guys who didn't give everything they had for the full 120 minutes.
Should there be some nervous players today and tomorrow?
Yeah, there should be.
What was the main area of concern from the Hawthorn game? Have you highlighted one that you want to address?
I thought we matched them inside the contest, but they certainly spread better than us outside. So when you look at their uncontested numbers, they were quite, or they were heavily in Hawthorn's favour. The uncontested marks, the uncontested possessions. But the most disappointing thing for me was the tackle count. We've really prided ourselves, and when you've watched us play this year, we've been really aggressive at the ball. We were second to the ball, and then they got us on the outside. So we had a pretty solid hit out this morning, and just make sure that we realign our players on the style that we're trying to adopt here.
Was the tackling more attitude or?
Attitude and technique, yeah. The first guy missed, and the second guy missed, which caused 2 or 3 goals for us. So that's certainly an area that we've got to try and match the Giants at this week.
Do you envisage more changes this week than what you've had so far this season?
Hard to say. I'm one opinion amongst a few. Ultimately, it's hard to say. Sometimes you watch the game back in review and you want to make a lot of changes, but there's a few guys with some credits too. We've got some experienced players who have played some good footy for us so far. You can't just react to a bad quarter or a couple of bad contests. So at the same time, we'd like to reward SANFL form as good form. But at the same time too, you shouldn't play a bad game and then be omitted. You got to have a chance to, I guess, right a few wrongs from the previous week.
So our toughest selection is your toughest of the year this week?
Oh, they're all tough because everyone wants to play. That's the challenge, and even some players like I mentioned who we thought might struggle to come up with a couple of little niggles. Just had a chat to most of those guys then, and they're really eager to play. They're really desperate to make amends for a disappointing game last week. So the 22 we play will be hungry this week.
So how do you strike that balance between trying to get those guys to atone for last week and rewarding SANFL?
Yeah, it's really difficult. It's a really fine balance of getting the side that you want. You know it's going to perform well, but also too you can't just keep players playing good footy in SANFL without rewarding them. So I'm sure there'll be examples in the next few weeks when we reward that form.
What did you think of Sam Kerridge's debut?
I didn't get much opportunity. He came on late in the game. Maybe 5 or so minutes or 10 minutes in the third quarter to go, and got to a couple of contests. But it's a tricky one as a first gamer coming in as the sub. He was a late inclusion too. With Henderson not coming up on game day. So I know Sam was going to be a great player for us long term, but he did sort of struggle a little bit to get into the flow of the game.
Does it make it more difficult as a debutant sitting in the best?
I think it does. Yeah, ideally it would have been nice to bring him in and just play him. But the balance of the side, we needed a bit of midfield run late in the game, I guess tactically, and we felt that we might be able to get Hawthorn in that area of the game if we could put speed on the game late, but it didn't work out that way. And unfortunately, in reflection, it wasn't great management.
He certainly looks like he's got the physical attributes to be a pretty impressive player, though.
Oh yeah, we love him. You know, that's why we took him with our first pick. He's exactly what we're after, those hard-running, hard contested players that really relish a contest, and Sam's one of those.
Does Tom Lynch need a full game, be that with you or at sample level?
I don't think so. We do talk a bit about with coaches and managing players and how much do you need a full game and how much touch do you need, but players get a lot of handling of the balls during the week, whether it's training or extra sessions, and our boys are pretty good at coming in and doing extras, so it's a good debate to have. I'm not sure what the magic number is, you know, how many full games you need or how many games is the sub or whatever, but sometimes it's just the balance of the team. Like we took off a third tall forward and brought on a running midfielder, which was, I guess, a tactic of ours, but yeah, it didn't really pay off in this time.
You spoke about not resting players this weekend, or you can't even be 1 or 2% off to get your best at
Yep.
the moment. You feel like you're not quite at that level to be able to do that?
Yeah, we've still got a long way to go. Like we're certainly trying to improve every week. We thought we'd been doing that with some great contests and some great matches leading up to the Hawthorn game, and we were really confident going over there that we were going to really compete, but we got embarrassed in a few areas of the game, which we've addressed this week, and I'm sure you'll get a more physical, more aggressive side this week.
Given that confidence heading over to Melbourne in the pre-season and all of that, did you sort of think that perhaps the side was a little bit further along than what the loss suggested?
We certainly didn't play well. I thought we'd play better than what we did. So I guess the answer is yeah, I probably thought we were a little bit more advanced than what the scoreboard showed.
Hendo, is he okay? He's up for selection this weekend? Or?
He trained really well, yeah. He will be assessed again tomorrow morning, but at this stage it looks like he's available for selection.
Does he need a game maybe back in the SNFL, or is that another thing you're tossing up?
Yeah, not sure. We'll have a talk about that this afternoon, but it's a good debate. We've got a few of those today with a few players who have missed a little bit of footy and the best opportunity to get some game time into them. So yeah, it's going to be a tough one this afternoon.
There'll be a few Giants players with points to prove. Obviously, David's coming back here. Brogan, Corns, what are you expecting from that bunch of players in particular?
Yeah, I mean, they're outstanding players who have had great careers. You throw Power and McDonald and Reece Palmer, Callum Ward, those sort of players. They're certainly not going to be an easy side to defeat. You know, we're going to have our work cut out. It's going to be a physical game. We're going to be a lot more aggressive than what we were last week. But you're right, we've got some players who can certainly unsettle us and really relish a contest too. So I'm sure those boys will be here with a bit of a point to prove as well.
We saw him last year coming the Gold Coast's first official victim. How would it feel, do you think, to be the Giants' first victim?
I'm hoping we're not going to Giants' first victim. I actually played for Geelong when Fremantle had their first win, and it's not a nice feeling. Yeah, I mean, they're going to win a game soon. Just hopefully not this week against us.
They're encamped in their own forward defensive 50 a fair bit, the Giants. Is that where you think you maybe get a control of the centre square and force that to happen again?
Yeah, there's been times when they've played pretty much man-on-man around the ground. They probably went better in the second half against West Coast when they just went man-on-man. But obviously they're trying to protect their defence a little bit, and at times they'll have 7 or 8 defenders. So we had a little bit of a look at that this morning and identify ways that we can attack through the numbers back.
Brenton, before you go, tell me what you like about Rory's game.
I like everything. He's just a fierce competitor. He hates to lose, does everything right during the week, prepares himself professionally. There's not much that the kid does wrong.
Thank you.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
Nice.